Well, the report was compiled by then Archbishop Timothy Dolan. He got the red hat last February, so he's now Cardinal Timothy Dolan, the Archbishop of New York. He was the man sent by the Vatican to head up the visitation the apostolic visitation to the Irish seminaries in 2010. It followed Pope Benedict's letter to the Irish Catholics in March of that year. It itself followed publication of the Ryan and Murphy reports in 2009. People recall that letter was very strong on what happened in the Church in Ireland where the abuse of children was concerned. And one of his concrete measures he announced then was that he'd been sending apostolic visitation to Ireland. He sent 7 teams as it happened, an unprecedented event in any modern Irish Catholic, or any modern Catholic church. 4 investigated the 4 Catholic archdioceses to do with child protection, but also to do with general orthodoxy where church matters are concerned. 1 each looked at the male and female religious congregations, and Cardinal Dolan headed up the one that looked at the seminaries, St. Patrick's College in Maynooth, the Irish College in Rome being the 2 main ones. His report on the Irish College in Rome was the one that was leaked to us. It is 17 pages long. It is pretty damning, to the least, about it, of the college itself, and of the 4 priests who ran the seminary element of the college itself, all of whom have been or are about to be replaced. One of those men, he did say, should continue on, but should take courses of being re-educated in the area he was responsible for. But that man himself has requested to come home too. He begins the report outlining the history of the college, which goes back 400 years, older than Maynooth. And then he looks at the numbers of students who are there from Ireland, 23 as it happens, a third approximately of all the seminarians in the college itself. He was concerned about that because he felt it threatened the Irish identity of the college. He looked at governance. He was very critical of it. The governors of the college are the 4 Irish Catholic archbishops. They were also the owners of the college. He felt that less than a hands-on involvement with it. They weren't engaged, is the phrase he used. He recommended that their board be extended, and in fact it has been announced it's to be extended by 4 people since his report went to the Vatican. But it's really when it comes to the area of theological formation that he's at his most ruthless, to say the least about it. Having listened to, seen some seminarians in particular who are quite orthodox, he quotes them saying, one man saying the house is tense and dysfunctional. There's tension between the staff and the students. The staff, as one seminarian said, wanted to go the way the church wanted to go, whereas the teachers, the priests, were, this same seminarian said, were stuck in the 60s and 70s when it came to theology and theological thinking. And they believed, these students, that the priests running the seminary were anti-conservatism, anti-traditional, didn't respect the magisterium or teaching authority of the church, tended to rubbish theologians who were of a conservative bent. Cardinal Dolan, he quotes one of them as saying that there was an anti-ecclesial bias. In other words, they were anti-church, which is a very strong thing for him to say, but then he was thinking of church in his own particular context, which would be very orthodox. So what is disturbing about it is that he records what the seminarian said about these men, but there's nowhere in the report is it recorded that he put any of these criticisms to the men criticised. And in fact, as is the case, none of the men who've lost their jobs as a result of this report have seen the report. They're not entitled to see the report, nor are they entitled to see his recommendations. And in fact, I heard only this afternoon that for a cleric to leak a document, a papal document of this sort, is equivalent in canon law to breaching the seal of the confessional. And there are a few graver offences where a cleric is concerned. But anyhow, we have got our hands on it. He presents a very narrow view of what should be the way in a seminary. He was challenged very forcefully by the Irish archbishops, or his report was, because this report, once it was submitted to the Vatican's Congregation for Catholic Education, was then sent to the archbishops, the 4 Irish archbishops, as the owners and the trustees of the college. And they, from what I gather, presented a very, very robust response to what Cardinal Dolan had said in his report. They've said that it was factually inaccurate, that he also got names wrong. It was indeed inferred that he went in there with an agenda. And the agenda wasn't to do with child protection. The agenda was to do with orthodoxy, with bringing the church, the seminary rather, into line with his thinking of how a seminary should be run. And of course, Cardinal Dolan himself had been rector of the North American College in Rome from 1994 until 2001, so where he ran a very strict regime in that college. So he had a track record in this area. So he basically wanted to turn the Irish College, if you like, into an image a reflection of the North American College. This is the most extraordinary part of the report altogether. He begins by saying the college suffered from a reputation, suffered unjustly from a reputation for being gay-friendly. And then he goes into detail and discusses at length some of the very, very minor reports that were dealt with at the college since September 2009. There were 4. 3 of those involved foreign seminarians, all of whom are named, both the accuser and the alleged offender. There was no offence, actually. There were feelings on the part of some guys, there was discomfort on the part of some guys around other guys. These are all dealt with internally by the rector or by the staff. The last case, the 4th case, involved 2 Irish seminarians, and one of these guys was dismissed. Again, both were named. He was dismissed for making improper advances at the other. Now, Cardinal Dolan goes on about these cases, devotes about 2 pages to the issue entirely, then decides there's no question of rampant immorality, that the vast majority of seminarians live chaste lives in the seminary itself. Now, it begs the question, if it was unjust to give the college a reputation of being gay-friendly, why he concentrates so much on what he says doesn't exist in the college? Well, the archbishops, we put what we had to them last week. They came back repeating this matter, that there were matters of factual error, inaccuracy in the report, that names were got wrong in the report. They didn't say much more than that. They outlined or repeated basically what was presented to the media last March as a summary of all the 7 visitation reports. Indeed, it's extraordinary when you think about it. They presented a 7-page summary of all the 7 visitation reports. We see Cardinal Dolan's report into the Irish College in Rome. It was 17 pages long alone. I mean, he also investigated Maynooth. We don't know what length his report there was or what was in it, for that matter. None of these reports were published, nor was it intended that they would ever be published. But it's quite clear that the Irish bishops are very unhappy about the report of the Irish College. It's also clear today that the Association of Irish Catholic Priests in Ireland are very unhappy about the report, and they have issued a very robust statement in response to Cardinal Dolan's report.